Good afternoon and welcome in to the latest edition of the DLLS Mavs show. We've got a special guest in studio, the one and only Brian Dameris from Mavs Radio.
Oh,
Let's go.
Look at that. Come on.
Yes, it is true. Do not adjust your screen. Somehow, I have ended up in Kevin Gray's chair. Mark Stein here with Tim Cato. A momentous week for Tim Cato. We're going to get into that as well. And no Corellistrator today. Kevin Gray is on assignment in Vegas.
Vegas.
Covering boxing. Is that right?
Canelo
Wrestling?
Crawford.
Boxing? One of those. Yeah.
So,
I don't really
given
know how
all
that
that,
works.
no Corella, no Gray, somehow I've ended up in the host chair.
Yeah, but I did not allow this.
Well, let's just say
This
the
is
last
not-
time I was on was Tim's first time hosting, and it was such a train wreck that we had to get Steiny to do it. Steiny, so I will say this.
You know, I think history...
Brian Dameris, welcome.
Thank you
Brian
so much.
Dameris,
Start
Mavs
stage in
radio
Spain.
analyst, D Magazine correspondent, preeminent Mavs expert, or so he claims.
TV pre and post again this season for select home games since I'm traveling on the road, and of course the Take That With You podcast with Mark Followell. But I will say that in my off time, which this is still my off time, I went to the Baylor SMU game because I am a graduate of both Baylor and SMU. Thank you, Tanner. For
Do either claim you?
No. And I walk into the VIP area because my brother's a big time, big shot. I use his tickets. And I am accosted by one Aaron Stein, who has already been put to work at his new home there at SMU. He is working in recruiting. And of course, in typical Stein fashion, he's not working. He's chit-chatting with me.
No, in typical Dameris fashion, you're at a game looking for the nearest Stein to guide you through the maze that
Looking
is professional
lost.
sports.
Well, no, he was very nice.
If you guys knew how many times Brian Dameris, I had to bring, I go to the Sloan conference years ago, and my +1 was Brian Dameris.
Yeah, we had lunch with Drew Carey.
Did we?
Yes.
Drew Carey.
I don't even remember
Man.
that.
Yeah. And no, Aaron was great. He is a great addition. SMU's in good hands, helping with him doing recruiting. But I did go to grad school at SMU. I got my graduate degree, but I went to undergrad at Baylor, and Baylor was playing SMU. I was wearing a Baylor shirt. And this one brings up my question. And you're a big affiliation guy. You're allowed one team, right? Like in each kind of category. So, like my good friend Mark Followell, he took some grad courses. I think he's got a master's in journalism from Alabama. So each year's for Alabama, each year's for UNT where he went. Like you can't have these multiple affiliations. I picked my undergrad, which I think is kind of where you skew. I was cheering.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought this. I'm glad you brought this up.
Baylor is my team.
I'm glad you brought this up because actually, my wife was saying, why wouldn't Brian be an SMU fan if that's where he got his MBA? And I said, no.
Right. You get one team.
Where you go to undergrad, that's the team that you love. That's why he's a Baylor fan. So,
like for example, in the Premiership, my very first game was in 2005. What are with you? Man City versus Fulham. You're obviously a huge Man City guy. We all know if you're an American, you pick a team. I picked Fulham. Fulham is it's always meh. They've been relegated a couple times. Like that's who I'm stuck with. I can't go switch to Arsenal or add a team. Like I don't.
So I am a Borussia Dortmund fan. That's a German club. Could I go choose a Prem team? I never would do that, for the record.
Yeah, I don't
But
think so.
could I do that?
Kind of
because
your
those
European
are teams.
team.
They're in different leagues, but they compare.
Yeah.
Whereas on the flip side, I am a Borussia Dortmund fan, but also I've gone through phases where I've been considering myself an FC Dallas fan, and I'm not super locked in.
That's fine.
But that to me is a different spectrum. In that sense, I think North Texas and Alabama are so distinct in the type of like collegiate leagues they play in.
No.
So you're saying Followell loves Alabama now as much as he loves North Texas?
No, not as much, but he will cheer for Alabama.
So
But
Tanner, let's put this in the chat.
I've got friends.
If you went to wherever you went for undergrad,
Or
and
even-
then you go for a master's or a doctorate or whatever it is.
But I've got friends who.
What is the school that you should be rooting for? The school you went undergrad, or
the team-
How many
or the
teams
school
can you support?
or the school you finish?
How
Or the
many
te-
teams can you support
I've
in
got-
similar leagues?
I've got a friend who grew up in
Something like that.
Oklahoma. Okay,
I'm
but
sorry
went
for
to
them,
Baylor
but-
and cheers for Oklahoma.
Although we're really
you can't do that.
But
no, that's fine.
You can't have both though. You got to pick one.
Oh, they cheer for both?
Yeah, when it's convenient.
But since we're telling the story,
I get that one though.
No, but you can't have two. That's my whole point.
since we're telling the Cinderella story of Brian Dameris' rise to the lofty positions of Mavs analysis that he now holds, I mean, the SMU piece is huge, right? Because it was during your SMU days that you ended up. That was the
was when I
pathway to
met
get
Mark Cuban,
to
yes.
broadcast.com.
Right.
And
Well, I'm just a little bit confused how you're a fan of two podcasts. You come on this podcast, yet I thought you have your own. You've got to
That's true.
choose one.
I do believe
You're
that
splitting your fandom.
I do believe in the media ecosystem that is Mavs media, that all boats are risen by tides, whatever that phrase is. That
Rising tide.
I don't
lifts all
believe in
boats, yeah.
competition. I
Yeah.
believe that we're all serving Mavs fans in a great way, and so that's
Okay.
why I come on.
did you ask Dirk's
support.
permission before you guys named it Take That With You?
Should I? And actually, his voice is on our open, so maybe I own.
You
some-
probably should
Anyway,
have.
royalties.
real quick before we go too much more off the rails, I wanted to thank the new members of our supporters club. This just launched. We've got Daniel Potter, Barrington Little, Armin George, Cat Scratch Fever, Daniel Escobar. Shout out Daniel and Carrie Matthews. If you sign up to become join our supporters club, there's 2 memberships: MVP and Hall of Fame. Basically, you just get access. You get like little badges next to your comments, and you get access to special emojis. And you also get a weekly video, just kind of behind the scenes, in and around the studio, the office. Hopefully, they let me film one before everything switches up for me. But yeah, thank you everybody, and it's $5.99 or $14.99 a month. If you want to consider it. Again, exclusive videos, just more ways to support us and get more DLLS content. Thank you everybody who signed up.
Yeah, this segment is already so off the rails. We've consumed 2/3 of it without even getting to the topic that we were. And I thought we were going to talk more about the Cato news that dropped yesterday, but really we need to talk some Mavs before this first segment gets away from us. So we're going to ask our esteemed guest, Mr. Dameris, what is the style that you would like to see this Mavs team play in the 2025-26 season? Can the Mavs succeed with a dearth of three-point shooting, which Klay Thompson aside, it looks like.
Yeah, I think that's if we're looking at kind of where we're hand-wringing going into the season, that's the area. We actually talked about this a bit at Summer League, and that's kind of where, when I was thinking about what to talk about today, where it came into my mind. And the reason I bring that up is twofold. One is every team is not perfect. And in an apron world, you're not going to have a perfect team. And I pulled up these stats about Oklahoma City to kind of make a point. Look at New York, who went to the conference finals. They were thin, right? They even fired their coach. They had to play their starters a ton of minutes because of how their style is. Indiana on defense, in the regular season last year, 14th. In the playoffs, 8 out of 16. Okay, so they, average defense in the playoffs. Oklahoma City in the playoffs. What do you think their 3-point percentage was?
Like how many they made?
No, percentage of effect,
From deep,
Yeah.
37%.
Probably 34.
33%. That was 13th out of 16 teams.
Yeah.
Their frequency and made percentage was 11th. So they didn't shoot the 3 ball well. Now, they have the MVP, They had amazing athletic defenders. They played with a ton of pace, but they had a hole there, and shooting was their hole. I talked about Indiana's defense.
It almost got them a couple times. Like their role players were struggling to make shots. That cost them games, especially against Denver.
They went to 7 against Denver and could have easily lost that series. And obviously, they're a half and a Halliburton injury away from a scary Game 7 against the Pacers. So every team has got some holes. Obviously, we saw what the Lakers' holes were, and they made efforts to address it. I think the Mavs shooting is what it is. That means, how do you, make the starting lineup? Does Clay have to be in the starting lineup to provide some shooting around what they have, because you want to play AD at the 4 and have a center at the 5? I think this team has to have an absolutely stellar defense. They have to hang their hat on that end of the floor. And when they're playing Najee, Cooper, PJ, AD, Lively, that's a long, really good D, but the D is going to have to be top 5. And then they've got to play with some pace. And, that's going to be what they can compensate the shooting with. I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Do you think it's fair to say there's a difference between shooting and spacing?
Sure. I mean,
spacing, not even literally where the players are around the arc, but how a defense reacts to your shooters. Because when I think about shooting, and when I've talked about Dallas and my view is that they have a lack of shooting. It's really a lack of spacing. Some of it is the way they're going to play with 2 centers, 2 big men, a lot of the time. But I concede your point that you can be a really good team without shooting a ton of threes. The team last season in the regular season that shot the fewest number of threes, the Denver Nuggets. The second fewest, the LA Clippers. The 4th fewest was the New York Knicks, and then 5th was the Dallas Mavericks. The Knicks, the Clippers, and the Nuggets were very good teams. Very, very good regular season teams who played well in the postseason as well. I don't look at the New York Knicks and think, that is a team that doesn't have shooters. That is a team that doesn't have spacing. In fact, so much of the way they succeeded was because of spacing, because Karl Anthony Towns allowed them to play a lot of 5-out lineups. Now, they did not use that 5-out spacing to get three-pointers, as seen by the fact that they were shot the 4th fewest in the NBA. And I think Denver, their spacing's a little bit worse. I think Denver is a unique case because Jokic is very special. I think the Clippers had great spacing all season.
They just have a lot of mid-range guys.
They have a lot of mid-range guys, and they use that spacing to get to their spots inside the arc rather than using it to just, launch 3 after 3. The thing that worries me about Dallas is not that, I think, and I remember there's a comment even at some point this week, somebody being like, well, this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy, they're all pretty solid 3-point shooters. Like PJ's a solid, Najee's okay, Cooper's going to be, solid. I don't disagree that they have guys who are good shooters. What I disagree with is that I think that defenses are not going to have to respect their shooters, partially because of how they play and, and the lineups and the 2 bigs, and partially of just there is not enough people.
That's why I've been saying the playmaking is the larger concern to me, because I think if the playmaking was better, the playmaking options without Kyrie, your 3-point looks improve, and then all those guys that you just mentioned who we put them in the category of they can be effective shooters. If the looks are better, then they're going to make more. And so that's the concern. Clay is the only pure 3-point shoot, what you would describe as a pure 3-point shooter as the roster is currently laid out.
D'Lo can shoot.
I would agree with D'Lo as well. Boston won a title 2 years ago without having elite playmakers. I think we'd all agree that they had good passers. Nobody is saying that any of those players in the starting lineup are not, at least average to good passers, but none of them are elite playmakers. But they won it because they have the best spacing in the league. And I think there is a sliding scale of playmaking to spacing. And if you have Jokic, then your shooting can be a lot worse. Your spacing can be a lot worse. Whereas if you don't have an elite playmaker, you just have a bunch of players who are pretty good at it. Jason Tatum's pretty good at it. Derek White.
But their offense definitely stalled when they went into their kind of ISO game. But I think what the Mavs are going to lean into, and they're doing this by design, is the big. And you're seeing other teams do it. Houston's doing it. Oklahoma City's doing it. Going into these kind of, double big, high-low, put AD up at the elbow. If he gets doubled, you're finding that center underneath, and maybe that collapses that defense enough to open up some of that action, and then your shooters from the outside can get better looks.
All right, we're going to grab our first break. I want to apologize to our guest Brian Dameris, because both of my phones, because of course today I'm sitting in Kevin Gray's chair, both of my phones are going crazy, but I promise no matter where you see my eyes, no matter what device I'm looking at, I am listening intently to every word Brian Dameris is saying, and maybe even a few of the words Cato is saying. Let's grab a quick break, and we will continue this conversation on the other side of the break. But first,
Game Time is the best place to buy tickets. And right now, you know what we're thinking about? We're thinking about college football tickets. Because college football is fully back into gear. It's back into swing. It is going. And the Game Time app gives the advantage back to the fans. It's really a hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's so easy to use. The Game Time guarantee means that you can trust you're going to get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best prices. Also, the fees are always included. So what you see is what you pay. That's important in an era where, you know, like you see the $49 ticket and you finally get the shopping cart and you're like, 80? Where'd that 80? Where'd that come from? So what you see is what you pay. It is something that I love about the Game Time app. Anytime I'm looking for tickets, which, by the way, although college football is going right now, they've got it for everything. They've got it for NFL. They've got it for comedy shows. They got it for concerts. They got it for every single option. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DLLS for $20 off. Tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. Monarch Money, once you've been buying all these tickets, is the app that's going to make sure that you can afford it. It's going to make sure that you are still saving for your goals.
Look at that segue from spot to spot.
It was beautiful, wasn't it? And not only are you saving, like now you have full confidence that you can afford it. You can feel organized and confident with your finance with Monarch Money, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean interface on your laptop or your phone. And right now, just for our listeners, Monarch is offering 50% off your first year. It's built for the people with busy lives, and it's so easy to put off organizing your finances. That's why Monarch is just here to come help you. It does the heavy lifting. It links all your accounts in minutes. It gives you clear data visuals. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code DLLS at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code DLLS.
All right, let's pick up where we were because I wanted to just, again, follow up on this point with our esteemed guest, Brian Dameris from Mavs Radio, Mavs pre and post TV, writes for D Magazine, does it all. He's become such a journalist in his old age. He just
on the dark side after being in the front office.
He used to work in the Mavs front office, but even then he dreamed of being a capital J journalist, a full-fledged media member. You do know this, Steiny,
that
like
of all
Tim
the people
Cato
that you've introduced me to and that I've been around, I always did geek out more about the media guys, didn't I?
Yeah, this guy like Bill Simmons, Windhorst, like he crashed the PTI set multiple times somehow.
Actually, when your one appearance on there, I was in the studio.
I was on more than once.
Oh, excuse me.
I wasn't on 1,000 times, but more than once. Maybe it's because broadcast.com was so tied into Cliff and media. Is that why?
Oh, I was a kid that used to call in sports talk when I was 10. Yeah. I had the bug early. I mean, actually, I won a sports fantasy contest at the age of 12 and announced an inning of a Houston Astros game on the radio.
Where's that tape?
I have my dad taped over the VCR of the TV newscast coverage of it. I don't have any audio, but I do have an article from the paper that I've saved.
Brian
From
Dameris,
the Houston Post.
Astros fan.
Yep.
So playmaking. When you look at this roster, can they get to January and February whenever it is that Kyrie comes back? With with D'Lo and Exum, and can they patch it together?
Well, let's not sleep on Brandon Williams. I think he is a favorite inside the room, and he is really, really quick. And listen, the Exum deal was done specifically to get that kind of help there. You guys talked about Jaden Hardy yesterday. But really, and this kind of segue into where we're going with this other topic is Cooper and his ability. I talked to Brian Scalabrine at the Big Three, and he was the one who worked with Cooper at 14 years old and called John Shire that day and said, you need to get this guy. He knows Cooper really well. He literally thinks Cooper's a 1, 2, or 3. I mean, that's kind of where his mind is with what he does.
From day one, though.
Well, I think he thinks that his mind is so good that he will get there. And I think that, we know Jason Kidd, and Jason Kidd has said it publicly that he's going to let him fail and let him grow. And we saw the first seeds of that in Summer League in terms of getting the ball in his hands, bringing it up full court. It looked rough in game 1. It looked a lot better in game 2. And, the blueprint is there for what he did with Giannis. I mean, who's the starting point guard for Milwaukee this year? It's Giannis. No one would have ever thought that would be a possibility when he came in the league.
I guess I just want Milwaukee was going nowhere at that time and not facing the win now pressure that the Mavs face. So it was easier to me then for Jason Kidd to say, you know what, we're going to experiment with Giannis. We're going to put the ball in his hands. Like, what were the stakes then? Whereas this Mavs team is like, Cooper is as young as you can be as a rookie, but he's surrounded by veterans. The two best players on this team are in their 30s. Like, the Mavs have to win now. And objective number one is, how do the Mavs get through the first few months of the season without an injured Kyrie Irving? So given all that, are these conditions that lend themselves to Jason Kidd saying, Cooper, here's the ball?
Well, you're bringing this up. I have another question where, I don't know. I don't think that it's bad to experiment with Cooper to a degree, and I definitely don't think it's bad for his long-term development to put the ball in his hands. Another criticism that has been brought up on the show is the idea that when Giannis went through a lot of growing pains, is that if there is a heavy emphasis on just giving Cooper the ball and seeing what happens, how likely is it that Dallas is going to struggle at times just because it's good for Cooper's long-term development, and how much is there patience for that? Do you think this can work now for immediate results and also be good for Cooper long term, or is it kind of like a give take where it's like you're giving him as many, or is it just going to succeed right away?
Well, I think that it's going.
Sorry, a lot of questions there.
Yeah, I don't know that they're going to be like, you're the point guard day one and the ball's in your hands all the time. We're not going to see what we saw in Summer League. That was obviously
of course,
for a reason.
100%.
But you're going to see stretches of time, a few minutes here, a few minutes there, possessions here, possessions there, where they're going to try it.
Yeah.
But that's not going to be their bread and butter.
No, I think that's fair. And Dallas did that with Chandler Parsons once.
Yeah. And when Kyrie comes back, listen, Kyrie likes to play off the ball.
Right.
This is going to be a team that's going to have multiple people being that action initiator. AD plays it when they play that Chicago action when they give him the ball up top at the elbow. Najee was the starting point guard at the end of the season last year. Clay, as you mentioned, Steiny can do it. Brandon Williams, Dante Exum, Cooper Flagg, all of those guys are going to get run. So it's going to be by committee approach until we get to the point when Kyrie's there. And when Kyrie's there, he's going to do it. And then, as you know, he's going to play off the ball.
I think, though, the best point guard is still the 50-something-year-old coach. That's a problem.
Can I ask a question? Do you think Dallas is going to be set up next season to generate a lot of driving layups? And is that good or bad? That's a very simplistic question, and it's a very narrow view of basketball. And I know it's unfair to view basketball in such a narrow lens. I just don't see a team that's going to have a lot of start behind the three-point line and get all the way to the rim.
This is the whole argument of spacing versus playing with two bigs.
Yes,
and
it is.
This team has decided to play with two bigs. And again, I go back, look at Houston. They just signed Steven Adams for 3 more years in Sengun because they had their best success playing two bigs. And they're going to play two bigs in Durant. They may close with those lineups. Who knows, right? When Hardenstein and Chet, obviously Chet can space out. You're seeing teams when Horford and Porzingis were in there for Boston, they were playing with those two bigs. Obviously, one was a spacer. Hopefully, AD can space out either his long mid-range or even get his 3 more. So, this is the style they're playing, and it's different than what we saw in the Luka spread it out, try to get an ISO action one-on-one all the way to the hoop.
I've said this before. I do think what Dallas is doing is fascinating. I think they are playing in a stylistically unique way from any basketball we've seen this decade. I'm 100% serious about this. I don't think any team has gone this boldly and brazenly into, we're just playing long, tall guys. Like, this is not a team that looks at shooting and playmaking in the traditional sense in a way that, the entire NBA, like modern NBA, or, like the NBA had been trending for years now, ever since the early 2010s. They had been trending towards these skill guards and these skill players and small ball. And if you can't shoot and you can't dribble, you're probably not closing.
But the new trend now is getting bigger.
It is trending back that way. Dallas is putting the most nitros into this trend. No team is going to do it as much.
And something you saw a little bit of in that game 2 with Cooper that I think is a glimpse of what they want to do is that it's going to be a little pick your poison for defenses, because if you're doubling anybody and Cooper's kind of the release valve, if he's got a small on him, let's say he's playing the 2, he's backing that guy in and scoring.
For sure.
If he's got a big, he's blowing right past him.
Right.
And he's a kind of a cheat code in that he's really hard to guard that way. And if his shooting can get even better and have the 3-point range be consistent, he's going to be a real problem if you double AD at the post, who then can go big down low, or outlet to a cutting Cooper where he's got that big small decision of how to play that. I mean, that's exciting, and that kind of releases a different way than just the traditional pace and space.
I still don't think they're going to double AD. I mean, it depends on every defense, but I don't know how often AD is going to double. I think it's going to be more of a pack the paint, collapse, and then get back out to shooters if Dallas is not posing, serious spacing questions to the opponents, where they're gonna be crowded. There's going to be that guy like who comes up and sits in the lane behind an AD post up, but he's not going to commit to it. It's going to be more of a deterrent than a, we're going to put 2 on the ball and you're going to make, if you can make us pay, then you're going to have a good.
I didn't know you got credentialed for the big 3. That's pretty impressive. So what else did Scal say?
He basically, he thinks that Cooper's brain is his biggest asset. That if you go in there and show him something, even in practice, he may kind of struggle through it, work through it, and the next day he's going to have it down. And his basketball IQ is just off the charts. And when you combine that with his motor and his desire and his gym ratness and all of that and his competitiveness, he really thinks that is, he's going to be able to gather what J. Kidd wants to teach him there. Yeah, is he going to be a full-fledged point guard by the end of next year? No. But in 3 years, when this is his team, he's going to have the tool set to play 1 through 5. And, ideally he won't be year 1, but he can do it, he can play it, and he can be effective in that. And the other point is that this defense, look, we saw glimpses of it even in that Houston game for a half and some other points. It's going to be hard to get inside on this team. It's going to be hard to score inside. And if you're not a great 3-point shooting team, there's not going to be much inside. And again, it goes back to what we talked last segment. They've got to really hang their hat on that end to, it's got to be top 5 defense to be really effective.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think.
But the good
and
news
that
is,
look, and that's the thing. Media day is now, we're less than 3 weeks away. That will be the first time we see Kyrie since he underwent knee surgery. But also it'll be our chance to see AD, who we know had this eye procedure, and based on everything I'm told, he's not fully back on the court yet. He can't be fully back on the court yet. So it's like, when practices start on September 30th, will AD even be ready to practice at that point? We don't know that yet. So it's not just the potential of starting the season without Kyrie. Is AD going to be ready to go on opening night against San Antonio? I mean, October 22nd ain't that far away. So there's so many questions.
But to go kind of to put a bow on it for what we started is, listen, I'm really glad that J. Kidd's the one that's in charge, because he did it with Giannis. Giannis sings his praises, and I think that relationship between J. Kidd and Cooper will be really good, both short-term and long-term, because you're right, Tim. they are kind of dancing this dance where you want to win now. You kind of made these trades to win now, while, oh yeah, we got this guy and we're developing our stud, but we're not going to rush that development either. And you guys even talked about it yesterday, kind of, is he going to be that impactful? He didn't really have to be that impactful because you're on a veteran team. You're not like going into a team where that was a lottery team because they were just, didn't have any talent. So it's an interesting kind of balance they have to strike.
All right, let's grab our second break. I see Kevin Gray trusting us not at all is in the chat now, even though he's on the road on assignment. And look, on a day like today, especially, we always appreciate your viewership. We always do. But especially on a day like today when we don't have Kevin Gray to pilot the ship and when I have to impersonate him and be the one.
Well, I assure you, nobody is mistaken. Nobody is making the mistake that you're Kevin Gray right now.
Your hesitancy.
We'd have a much tighter
Your
ship.
hesitancy to get in this spot is killing us.
My hesitancy
You just got to
for what?
spit it out. You just got to get to
Got to
break.
start the spot. You're
Yeah,
killing
you just got to
time.
get to break.
I said, let's go to break.
Let's go to break.
Tanner didn't hear me. Now the break has officially begun, even though I already called for it and was ignored.
But then you kept talking. Hey, look. This is revenge I've been waiting for. For almost a year.
Listen.
Let's get it together, Stein.
Like
Come
I
on
said,
now.
Like I said, on days
I thought
like
hosting was easy.
it is. We all greatly appreciate your viewership, but especially on a day like today when Tim is trying to throw me off my game. But we urge you
Guilty.
to become a diehard.
We do.
And to ramp up your level of DLS fandom. Please, at alldls.com, go to the diehard page. If you become a diehard, you get immediate access to all of the written content from the likes of Tim Cato, Jeff Wilson, Clarence Hill. On all our teams, there's tons of written content there for you. You get the free shirt of your choice. And if you've ever checked out the merch, the DLS store, there are dozens of shirts to choose from. It would be hard to just choose one, but you get your gift shirt. You get access to our Discord, which
We
is
love the Discord, folks.
where you can hang out and talk with us off air, offline. It's kind of like its own special sports bar just for DLS. You get
really
20
is.
you get 20% off tickets to our special events across the course of the year and all the merch options that you have. And you get the Die Hard welcome kit that, of course, as we always like to say, includes your physical Die Hard card. There is nothing out there in the sports world like a Die Hard membership.
There's
You
nothing
can't get
in
into
the
the, you can't get in the club, can't get a reservation. Throw that out there and they'll be, oh, you're
Please, we urge you, join us and become a Die Hard today.
Skip right to the front of the line. It's
And
crazy.
that is how a break is conducted.
I will say,
That was superb.
Despite Tim's efforts,
Oh, I agree. That's how a break is conducted. It was the getting to break.
I
that I
said
had
let's
quibbles
take
with.
a break.
I will say
But then
this.
talking kept happening. There has to be a pause. There was no pause.
No,
That was
it
not
was
in my pre-show
anywhere
notes.
in
Nobody.
there.
That was not
You gotta give
included
me
in my.
time to do the transition wipe. Yeah.
Oh, we got Tanner on mic to defend me. This is a first. That's your guy too, and he's defending me.
I will say this, as loath as I am to compliment you guys. I am a Steinline subscriber, and everybody should subscribe to his Substack. Essential reading. And you should become a diehard because Tim, and I've said this publicly and privately, as loath as I am to say that, is one of the smartest guys when it comes to basketball and Mavs.
Thank you.
And now that he's going to be writing even more, if you're interested in the league, and you should be, to get the trends of what's happening and then apply that to what they're doing for this team, get on that diehard list and read his writing as well. But I'm going to take the steering wheel, Steiny.
Go for it.
Be my guest.
Because we
Be our
know,
guest.
you guys talked about this a little bit on Monday, but Jason Kidd is
We
now
did.
a two-time Hall of Famer, went in with the Redeem team. And it got me thinking about the Redeem team. And if we go back, obviously the Dream Team of 92, Dirk himself talks about, he wore 41 because directly was 14 for the Dream Team in 92. And so many European players, the growth of the game globally because literally of the Dream Team is seen in how many international players we now have. And of course, Dream Team 2. And then the third iteration 2000, they won again, and then obviously in 04, I believe did they get the bronze in 04? Yeah, but that
Yes.
was when things started going
In
south.
your homeland.
In Athens. And then in 06 was the, I believe, 6th place finish in the World Championships when all the come to Jesus meetings happened and Jerry Colangelo took over Team USA and basically went to all the youngsters and said, we've got to go put the band, 2.0 version, the younger version of the Dream Team, and the Redeem Team was born in 2008, and they went and won. And that obviously can then, in one way, trace it back to the growth of the game globally, all the younger superstars that you see now, the Giannis's of the world. But there was also another element that really, I think, changed the game domestically a lot from the Redeem Team. And if you recall, in 2010, what happened?
2010?
Yes.
The Mavericks had 0 championships.
And
I don't remember 2010 well. I don't remember.
LeBron, D-Wade, and Bosh
Yes.
started the Big Three. And
Okay.
when did those
Yes.
conversations
Yes.
start?
Yes.
They started during the Olympics
I
of
see.
08
Yes,
at
yes,
the
yes.
Redeem Team. So the first super team technically was Boston, but Ainge put that together by the Garnett trade and the Ray Allen trade. Who was traded for Ray Allen?
Wait, I know this.
Played last year. I don't know if he's on a roster this year or not.
I should know this. I
Yeah,
did
it's
know
Jeff
this.
Green.
Jeff Green.
Jeff Green.
Is he on a roster this year?
Man,
Is he still on the Rockets?
he
He
might
was on
have.
a roster last year. Anyway, that's just a trivia question.
Jeff Green is. Go ahead.
So, but the real first super team that was made by players, because remember before, players played against each other in AAU. Maybe they grouped together a bit. International guys kind of knew each other, but there was no time, kind of a summer camp, if you will, where I really like playing with these really good players. And that was as a direct result of the Redeem Team. And the player empowerment era sprung from the building of super teams, and the aprons sprung from resistance to super teams. So one of the unintended consequences really of FIBA and everybody wanting USA basketball wanting to get back into the game was launching the super team era. Am I off?
No.
No, I would agree with that 100%.
I mean,
Also,
it
Jeff
was
Green did resign
okay.
with the
So
Rockets.
he's still at it.
Hell yeah, Jeff Green. Let's go, Jeff Green.
So I guess the question is, there's no Redeem Team. Are there super teams? Is that delayed?
We have known that it's not tampering because it's players talking together, but players have talked years before about teaming up and then have teamed up.
But they never did it because they never were for 6 weeks playing together, being together, doing that and going, wow, this is cool and fun. Let's go make this happen.
I've never considered whether the Heatles would have happened. I guess I don't know it. I absolutely know that the seeds of the Heatles happening started there. And I guess I've never even considered what if that didn't happen? Because people, to your point, teams were not thinking about it. Players were not thinking
Right.
about this. They did break a barrier, a very unimportant barrier, I guess, an NBA barrier, but they broke one with that. So I would agree with that. Yeah. It absolutely, international basketball, Team USA has created
But specifically
teammate
that
pairings.
team, because
Yes.
I
would agree.
The trajectory of U.S. basketball was going this way, and then
Yes.
when they all kind of got back into, Steiny, you went to Olympics, you covered Team USA, but the bonding and the kind of bunker mentality, it's huge in those aspects.
Yeah, no, it's no question it is. My first, I did the Worlds in 2002 in Indianapolis when they actually finished 7th. That was the George Karl team. And
I think I confused 06 and 2.
and then I didn't cover Team USA again until 12 in London. So by then, the Redeem Team had already won. And yeah, there's no question that I really remember it in Rio, because in Rio in 2016 they stayed on a boat.
Right.
And that group lives together for a month. Jimmy Butler was such a character on that team. The whole squad, they were always just everybody was going after Jimmy Butler every day. Jimmy Butler would bring a football to every practice. It was just
That's right. Yeah.
it was an interesting group, but no question. And look, J Kidd was handpicked by Coach K to come onto the 08 team to be like the old head who would have the respect.
All right. You want some J Kidd trivia?
Let's hear it.
All right. How many points, how many field goal attempts did J Kidd have in the 08 Olympics?
The entire time.
I'm going to say like 7.
So they played 8 games?
They
games? They played 8 games.
8 games.
I don't have the stats in front of me, but I see they're 8-0. I'm going to say that for the entirety of those 8 games, he took 5 shots, so I'm going to say 40. Let's round down. Let's say 38.
You're way off. 7 is the exact number.
Is it really?
He did not attempt. I actually, before I looked this up, I thought he didn't score a single point in the entire Olympics. He did, obviously.
Some free throws?
He made
crazy.
6 of those shots. 7 shots across 8 games, making 6 of them. He did not attempt a shot in the first 3 games against China, Angola, or Greece.
He's just doing bits.
But he was there to piggyback up your point.
Will even
he
point
was there to
9.
distribute to everybody else.
He was there in a way to be coach among players.
Right.
And because he was that guy who could command the respect of LeBron and Kobe. I mean,
he was playing 14 minutes a night, but yeah,
he was not.
But he was a starter.
That's still wild.
Yeah. No attempts in the first 3 games. He was literally now his assists were off the charts, and he was, there were so many scoring options. He went in there thinking I don't have to be that scorer. But that's what that was always my takeaway from that team. But it's just interesting that
he got outscored by Michael Redd.
You look
Carlos
at
Boozer.
you look at the aprons. You look at kind of essentially the NBA having a hard cap. That is a response to the spending to get 3-star. We don't have a 3-star system anymore. You can't. I mean, Boston had to break their team up because the financial difficulties of keeping a team like that are prohibitive. And so that all literally started in 08 in terms of, yes, we grew the game globally, but it also got all those guys together who said, I want to play together. And for the next 15 years, that was kind of the way the NBA went.
And we should point out that there was another honoree with Mavs ties from the Hall of Fame this past weekend from that 08 team. I think Tanner has this queued up. Casey Smith, the Mavs' longtime athletic trainer, and he's there next to Keith Jones, who for many years held a similar role with the Rockets and before that the Clippers. When I first started as an NBA beat writer, Keith Jones was the Clippers' athletic trainer, but I didn't actually realize this till I saw this tweet that both Keith and Casey also got honored as being part of the 08 Redeem team. They don't get a Hall of Fame jacket like all the members of the team, but still pretty cool that they get recognized in some way. And
so do I have to call him like Hall of Famer Casey Smith now?
You should.
Are you in the hall, or were you just honored?
Here's the
by
thing.
the hall?
You should, because he's your good friend. But
Come Hoff.
The reality is, all like I think you saw too. Like Mike D'Antoni was up there as an assistant coach, but they did not give him a jacket.
Okay.
So
So the jacket.
It's
is
only
the
the players who are truly Hall of Famers.
If I had a trophy like that, I'm calling myself a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. So it's like
I'm an Emmy Award winner, and I tell that to everybody I meet.
We've heard.
Yeah.
We've heard. So yeah, I mean, the line, there is a line between all of the awards at the Hall.
I'll blur that line. It's
the
a great
Gowdy, the I think it's, what did Jeff Twist win? The John Bunn Award, I think.
I don't know. I have never been recognized by the Hall in any capacity, so this isn't really my expertise.
By the
Mark
way,
Stein.
I just looked at your chat. Gakujin, I believe.
Gakujin, a great diehard of.
He said his son took a picture with me, so thank you very much. Happy to do that. And come say hi at games. I'm in the platinum level calling games. Happy to see you. I had
You're a star.
A fan at the security guy at TSA gave me a shout out. I had some fans at the SMU game that love what we do across the platforms, and that's
I think we're gonna get into that in the next segment. I want to hear about I want to ask some radio related questions in the
All
last
right.
segment.
And I have a
We got time for it.
Eurobasket question for you as well.
But we are going to take a break properly, and I'm going to stop talking now because I admit I put my hand up. I totally messed it up last time. Tanner, let's go to break.
You
You
know,
see, you need to pause before a break. That's how you know it's a break. Continue, please.
I'm learning a lot on today's show, but I hope that you guys are too. And maybe what you can learn about is more reasons to become a diehard, which is that, yes, we have exclusive written content, but there's going to start to be some national content. I mentioned this is my last month full time on the DLLS show. Going to be moving to a national role. Part of that includes the fact that, yes, if this was PHLY or DNVR or PHNX or CHGO, this would also apply to you. If you're a subscriber to one of those 4 markets, or if you're here, if you're supporting us, if you're a diehard for DLLS, there's going to be stories that are going to start coming through next month that are going to be launched to every market. So it's going to be like a little bit of a plus. There will be somebody in my role covering Mavs, writing Mavs stories, attending games, having the full focus. So that's still going to be there. But in addition to that, we're adding even more to your membership. I believe on NFL, something like this is also going to happen. You're just going to start seeing more for your membership. And there's already so much. Mark Stein barely fit all the bonuses, all the perks that you get from becoming a diehard into a 2-minute read. 2 minutes, that's a long time to talk. That's how much you get from your diehard subscription. But it's awesome to have a little bit more, to have more reasons to sign up, more reasons to support us. Just like also, I should mention the supporters club. Ardell, I'm pretty sure I saw earlier in here. Not only is he part of the supporters club and he's got a cool emoji next to his name, but he has been dropping in these exclusive emojis throughout the chat. If you want access to those emojis, if you want to be cool, you got to sign up. Join us in the supporters club. Back to the show.
All right, so
Tanner, have we ever had anyone in the 4th chair who just leads off these segments, or the 3rd chair? Making history today on DLLS Mavs.
I know you want to get into Eurobasket. I got a Eurobasket question for you. Obviously, big Germany-Slovenia game is after this.
Yeah, right after this show. Germany v. Slovenia to decide the last semifinalist at Eurobasket.
Which gets me thinking.
Turkey,
Players
Finland,
like
Greece.
Lauri Markkanen, Dennis Schroeder, there are these players that play really well overseas. Now, Markkanen's played really well in the NBA since, I think, the 22 Euros where he broke out. But why are there players that play really well over there, like Schroeder, that it doesn't fully translate here?
Well, I mean, it is a different game to some degree, but also its role. I mean, Germany, it is Dennis Schroeder's team. I mean, obviously Franz is a tremendous player, but it's FIBA Schroeder. I mean, it is the ball is his, and it's his team. Evan Fournier was like that with France. Yeah. I think Evan Fournier was like FIBA Fournier. I've been calling him that in print for ages. I mean, you have a green light. You have a much more defined role. And I mean, the game is played differently. I mean, maybe it's harder in the NBA for some of these players to hang defensively than it is in the European game. Another guy, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and this is a big reason why Serbia struggled. I mean, Bogdan Bogdanovic is off the charts when he plays for Serbia, and that's why even though with Jokic on the team, he was captain. He is the leader, the loudest voice, and again, green light to shoot it every time he touches it. And I just think I think in the NBA, it's almost become to the point where there's just, and understandably so, just defense and your ability to play NBA defense, that is such a massive factor.
There's no 3 seconds, obviously, in Eurobasket. So you can set up your defenses a little bit better, a little bit smarter to make up for the fact if you have a defensive liability playing guard. I think the talent is worse.
Serbia didn't. Serbia couldn't or didn't do that,
I think
and
it's
that's
easier
why
to
they
do with
lost
a guard
early.
than a big man,
Like-
because the big man is who you can actually camp out in the lane. It's the guards that you can get around a little bit easier. Also, I think the spacing is worse. Now you actually shoot
And it's a
it
much
closer
more,
to
and it
three,
is a much more
but I think-
physical game.
Yeah, but I think the talent of the 3-point shooters is worse in Eurobasket because the talent overall is worse. Like even the best team, like I think there's 1 or 2 teams in the entire Eurobasket that had 2+ NBA starters. And like Luka doesn't have any. Giannis doesn't have any NBA. He has his brothers, but I don't believe he has any NBA starters on his team. Markkanen doesn't. Serbia had a couple, but yeah, I think the spacing. But I think a lot of his role. I think Dennis Schroeder has averaged 18+ points in an NBA season 3 times in his career, and we saw, I think it was 2 years ago, Gigi Jackson averaged 25 points for 2 months to end a season. I think a lot of players, if you put them into a lead role, can excel. I think we're reaching that point
That's
in the
the
NBA.
Quentin Grimes question, right? I mean,
Right.
he may have to gamble on himself again because of restricted free agency, but he played really well when everybody was hurt.
Right.
Does he go back to a team that's healthy, maybe not play as much of a role? How does that affect his contract? We just saw Josh Giddey sign his
Right.
and get out of the restricted free agency. So.
Right. I mean, it's the Najee, not the Najee Marshall question, but Najee Marshall scaled up his role. Now, the Mavericks didn't win a lot of games down the stretch when everybody was injured, but Najee Marshall was sure able to be the first option on a bad team. It's just the team was bad. You don't want Najee Marshall to do that because you want
the good
him
news is
fitting
now
into
you
a
can
good team.
now everybody can play in the slots that they're supposed to play. Everybody was
Exactly.
playing way above their paper last year, and
Right.
and I understand.
Yeah, I just think Dennis Schroeder is not a top 15 guard in the NBA, and so no good team is ever going to give him a lead guard role. But he can be a top 10 guard in Eurobasket, and then he's earned that lead guard role.
You wanted to ask me some radio stuff?
Yeah, you last year was your first year full time as radio analyst besides Chuck Cooper scene. So tell us.
Let's go. Elliot Eitzman just joined as an MVP. Let's go, brother. Hell yeah.
Thank you, Danny Collins.
And
Why are we
yes,
featuring that?
Danny
Put that
is
up
also
on the screen, Tanner.
Danny is also gassing up our guest, Dameris. Well, he misspelled your
Danny,
name,
do you
but
really
he was
believe?
close enough?
Danny, do you really believe that?
I think Danny does. Danny has always been truthful in the comments, in my opinion.
Dameris. So Dameris. No, just give here, as you move into year 2, maybe give us what are the 3 highlights that stand out from your first year? What was your favorite arena? Just what?
Well, I would say this.
But wait, you did something. Wait, is it? Last year was your first full-time year. The year before you did.
I did road games.
You
and
did
so
you did Luka's 73-point game.
I did Luka's 73. I called the finals. That was the highlight. With probably those 2 things. If I look back.
But last year, first year doing every game.
It's interesting. So I meet my counterparts before every game because they usually are sitting near us, especially at home. They sit right down the way, and I'm the only one in the league, as far as I know, that's not a former player or coach that is an analyst on any kind of broadcast, radio or TV, full time. Skin obviously on the TV side as a third man, but so a lot of times they'll be like, they think I'm the stat guy, and they don't know, and I'm like, I'm the color. Oh, okay, and
who like Cedric Maxwell.
Or the play-by-play guys or any of those guys. But, listen, Coop's great to work with. He's a big supporter of mine. He's been great in terms of helping me kind of, learn it. Listen, you did it a couple of times in the playoffs a couple of years ago. You don't have a lot of time. That's kind of the thing, is you got to make your point really quickly. Most of the time you're making longer points in timeouts, coming out of breaks, free throws, dead balls, that kind of situation. But there's a lot of prep for it. You've got to really know your stuff. And then you're reading, reacting to what's going on in the game. I like doing all the different disciplines because I still do pre and post game, which you can talk a little bit more freely and kind of either give keys to what's going to happen or look back in a longer form. Obviously, the podcast allows me an hour to kind of go through bigger picture trends of what's happening. And the writing, I try to do my writing. I do it once a month, kind of at a 30,000 foot. If I were in the front office, how am I thinking about things and more of a strategic look rather than breaking down X's and O's. And I think
I've always enjoyed, I enjoy your D Magazine pieces, and
Yeah,
I
I
think that's a
appreciate
good
that.
description of them.
yeah. And so,
Heavily edited by Mike
Oh yeah, he's the best. Yeah, I
We
need
love
all that
Palucci.
editing. But I try to in my last article is actually about kind of the Giannis J Kid blueprint, and I'll have one here in October.
Do you have a favorite arena? What's your favorite road arena?
I mean, listen, MSG, although they stick us on the
Correct
third
answer.
level, is I literally sit in a folding chair with my laptop on my lap because they just don't care. And they
But it is
stick
a
you way
special
up there.
place.
But it's great. So
It's-
that's amazing.
MSG is the only arena that has ever struck me with like a sense of awe.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Like I really thought that Staples Center, first time I went, it was Staples Center. I thought it would give me that same feeling. And it definitely was very cool to be at Staples, but it was not. It was not. It did not
Staples just has this incredible. It is a people watching
right.
Yeah.
deal, and it's
Right.
like when you go to a Laker game, and I was a Laker beat writer before I moved to Dallas, but like when I go to Laker games now, I do like it really does feel like a Hollywood experience.
Yeah.
And
like when I went for the Lucas first game against us in LA, at halftime I went down. I'm talking to Chandler Parsons and seeing some of the media people down there, and and we have a good setup because we're like 15 rows up right midcourt there. A couple of the arenas, radio is still on the floor, although I do like being up more because you can see better in terms of like I'm trying to see how teams are what defenses and offenses and spacing, and when you're down low you get more of an energy from the game, but it's just much harder to see really what's going on.
It is, yeah. I don't. Last year I wasn't sitting at the scorer's table like I have in the past, and I missed it sometimes, and at other times I didn't because I always felt like sitting that close absolutely gives you a sense of how freaking athletic these players are.
Yeah, it's
how
so fast.
quickly they cover. It is. You cannot it is so surreal to see. The 0.1% athleticism up close like that. But I've also felt like my snap analysis after a game was not as sharp as it would be from more of a traditional TV angle or a consistent angle that I could kind of see everything developing as I typically would on TV, because the way I learned to watch and form opinions about basketball was from a TV. It's always been from a TV.
It's just,
I would
football,
never, if I ever got into scouting, I never would. But if I ever did, I would never be the type of guy who's like, well, I got to see this person in person. I've got to be in the gym. You can be in the gym and learn a lot of things as a scout. Absolutely. There is a lot of reason to be in the gym. For me personally, I will never be a better an analyst or better understand what's happening from a courtside
it's
view.
one of the coolest jobs you could possibly have.
Yeah. I feel
Congratulations,
very, very
because,
lucky and blessed, and I feel it's what I'm supposed to be doing, and I think I add value. And people do thank me for what I'm doing as they do to you guys as well. And being on a team has its responsibilities, and I embrace those. And it's I try to be entertaining and informative and give people a break in terms of the crazy world we're in, to enjoy sports and enjoy the Mavericks for a little while. And so, even when we were getting blown out by 30 in March, I was having fun and telling jokes in the fourth quarter and trying to get Chuck off his game or giving him trivia questions. Like, I like that part of it too. Hopefully we're up 30 instead of down 30, but those are fun, challenging aspects of the job that I embrace. And so it's fun. And it's,
Look at that. Shaheed Malik wants Dameris to come back tomorrow. That's a first.
well,
That's
I appreciate you, Shaheed, but I
Mhm.
think that Steiny can only deal with me 2 times a year. So I will keep it at that.
No, but look, radio, even I'm a words guy, I'm a writer, that is what I am, but radio has always been my favorite medium. When I got to do those 3 playoff games with Coop in the Clipper series in round 1.
I was doing TV studio, so I couldn't do those.
That was a bucket list moment for me to get to do those games.
We're radio gay. We grew up listening to the radio and games
Yeah, and I
weren't
still-
on
I still-
TV
I
in
still
the
listen.
80s,
I
and
I listen to my soccer team on radio sometimes.
I get a text from Steiny when he's driving into the studio about some statement where I'm relating a play to my dating life or something like
Mhm.
that. And
I listened to more Mavs radio last year than I ever have, because it's true. I would listen to it on the drives into the studio.
we're mainly
for
for
postgame.
people in the car and in the bathrooms at the arena, which is great. And I could do the playoffs, which local TV doesn't get to do, which is a real perk.
All right, I think that is going to do it for this edition of DLS Mavs. Kevin Gray,
We'll be
don't,
back.
Kevin Gray,
at some
don't.
point.
You can't leave, man. Like I mean, tomorrow, Mr. Cato is going to be in this seat.
If you're paying to go to Vegas, man, you better not. You better not see sunlight. You better
He's
be
on
up all
assignment.
night.
He's on
they're out there
assignment.
for work.
He's working.
Assignment.
He's working.
Yeah,
Assignment at the
K.
poker
Gray is-
table.
K. Gray is working. All right. That will do it for the Wednesday edition of DLS Mavs. Tomorrow, Cato and I back. I believe the Corellustrator will be back. I'll be back in the seat on the other end so I can respond to sources who were trying to speak to me during the show. The phones were ringing off the hook today.
Two ways. Two ways.
Unbelievable.
There's no story. Every story, every little piece, every morsel of information matters. It's the
Yeah.
way it goes.
All right, we gotta get up.
We got to go. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, Emil, for being with us on DLS Mavs.
See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.